صل على نبيك دائما في هذه الدنيا وبعث ثاني. يا رب صل على نبيك دائما في هذه الدنيا وبعث ثاني.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, our dear viewer of MTA Africa. Welcome again to another session of the program Islam Light to Africa, coming to you from Amri Abeid Studio, Tanzania. In this program, we are looking at the challenges facing the African society, the way these challenges affect them, as well as the Islamic teachings on the way we can go by to solve these challenges. In our session today, we'll be looking at the challenge of urban slums as it's happening in most of African societies. With me in the studio today for this discussion, I have two gentlemen who are Mzee Mahmoud Hamsin Mubiru, who is the former teacher, journalist, a poet, and a writer. You're welcome, Mr.
Thank you
Mubiru
very
Sahib.
much.
And next to him is Sheikh Shaban Athman Shunda, who is the missionary in the Tanzanian Jamaat. You're welcome, Sheikh Sahib. Our session of today will be discussing urban slum. And if we look at every country, almost every country in Africa, we find that there is a place which attracts people from different areas in such a manner that they fail to afford maybe the good living conditions, and they live in slums. What are the causative agents? What causes the urban slums in these countries, or in this place of these countries? Mr. Mubiru Sahib.
From the African perspective,
Yes.
I think there is the burning question of promises.
Yes.
Promises were broken. At independence, we were promised a lot: hospitals, schools, good roads. Unfortunately, in villages, these things never reached there. They went to town. So urban migration has something to do with the question of going for something good, something better that is not within here. You have people moving from villages to town, not because they love moving, no, but because there are promises there of good life, water, electricity, and all that. But unfortunately, when they reach there, they do not get what they had expected. There is a German poet by the name of Goethe. He says, "Where you are not, there lies happiness." You know, when you think of a certain place, you think that everything will be there, but life does not. So unfortunately, people move from villages, they go to town, they think they will get this and that and then, but they fail to get that. So what is the alternative? They are not employed, they do not get anything to do, and so on. Finally, they end up into places called slums, where there is no question of arrangements of houses, there's no running water, there is nothing, and so on. So people have to make ends meet there.
So when we talk of people from the places that do not receive services, or where they were promised those services, they go to the town and they find those services there, but the life there does not support them, and they go to slum. Can they just go back into where they came from?
Now that's very interesting. No, what I'm trying to say is that if you can create the town in villages,
Yes.
then you cannot have this problem. The question here is the question of services. If services can be equally distributed, can you have a look at the sky? The sky is equal where the rich people are, and it is equal where poor people are. That is what I'm saying, that if these facilities are also available in town, as they are available in villages, there will be no need for anyone to move. So equal distribution of services is imperative.
Thank you
And
very much.
over there we can see another thing which is very important to note, is that these slums, there is some big people investments going there. And with this, what we realized in 2012, and this Msimbazi in Dar es Salaam, Msimbazi banks, the flood came and the many houses and many things were destroyed. When the government intervened to help these people, what happened? Those houses were not for those people. Those people were renting and the landlord was not there. So when government decided to give those people places to go and build their own houses, the noise was very high. The noise was very big, and the problem was very huge. That those people came and said that those people are living there. Those are not their houses. So if they want to diminish that house, the landlord wanted another place and also yes, money for supporting him to build another house.
There is also another political issue. For example, if the elections are close, people will not like to disturb them because they are voters. So, yeah, because of political, machination, you don't touch them because they are going to give you votes.
Okay, so you maintain the slums.
Exactly.
For now, you can stay until the voting.
But once the elections are over, then you start giving them problems.
Thank you very much for your addition into the question I just asked. But right now, we have prepared a short documentary talking about urban slums in Africa. So let's go and watch it.
One of the major challenges of urbanization in Africa is the rapid expansion of areas of informal settlements. These areas are famously known as urban slums. A slum is a highly populated urban residential area consisting mostly of closely packed, decrepit housing units in a situation of deteriorated or incomplete infrastructure, inhabited primarily by impoverished persons. It is a part of the city where the housing quality is low quality and living conditions are poor. While slums differ in size and other characteristics, most lack reliable sanitation services, supply of clean water, reliable electricity, law enforcement, and other basic services. Slum residents vary from shanty houses to professionally built dwellings, which because of poor quality construction or provision of basic maintenance have deteriorated. These causes of urban slums may include rapid rural to urban migration, economic stagnation and depression, high employment, poverty, informal economy, forced or manipulated ghettoization, poor planning, politics, natural disasters, and social conflicts. Slums can be witnessed in almost all countries in Africa. As such, families living in slums lack the crucial conditions they need to live decently and thrive as human beings. Children are very often unable to do their homework due to leaks and the lack of available light and electricity. Therefore, these children tend to perform much worse at school and their dropout rates are much higher than anywhere else. Moreover, unplanned settlements are typically not connected to basic services such as clean water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities. Residents are at great risk of contracting waterborne and respiratory diseases, example, due to the lack of windows and air vents. High rates of illness within slum communities cause a decline in productivity and prevent children from attending school normally. High population density, lack of proper toilets, and close proximity of homes allow diseases to spread quickly. This creates a real risk for large populations who are often unable to access adequate health facilities to get treatment in time. Also, emergency and law enforcement vehicles have difficulty navigating through unplanned settlements due to tightly woven pathways and few signs. resulting in difficulties monitoring and controlling crime and providing health services. Urban slums are not a safe place to live by any means, not only for children, but for everyone, as they are vulnerable and lack access to basic needs of life. Measures have to be adapted to tackle this challenge by all means possible.
Welcome back. We have been watching a short documentary prepared on urban slum, and among many things that we have heard is that the urban slums, they lack services as well. It's like they are coming from a place that has no services into urban areas where they think they find that they can obtain services, but as well because they are going to live in a place that is unplanned or unpermitted, it lacks services. Now, I want to know, what does Islam inculcate us not to shift, but to play a role or to do something at our places, at our villages, or at a place that we originally are? What does Islam say about this matter?
We know that in every small thing, there is many people who played the role to make it. Sayyidina Ahmad alayhi salam, in one of his book, when he was examining this particular matter of many people playing in one thing, he said he was talking about a bread. If you think about a bread and trace back the production of it to come into bread, you'll find the long chain of people are down there. So this is how Islam recognizes all efforts of people in the production of something. And we know that Allah is Ar-Rahman. One of his major attributes is Ar-Rahman, that who produced everything for us, all needed necessities for us before our coming and before our efforts in this world. So when we recognize that, we'll find ourselves in the responsibility, everybody to play his own role to make something go, because life is something which is pushed with many people. We can say that there is many people behind for providence of sustaining the well-being of the world. I'll come there. We know that these poor people will produce food for rich people to eat, and rich people, they'll give money to these people to sustain their lives. So now we are having the huge migration to the urbans, people that are going to town. So they are killing that manpower in production behind, that is in villages. So when I want to make one point clear, let your life make you transfer one place to other. Grow your business in the village and make sure that your business need you to go to the town to supervise it. Many youngsters, they are going to town with a very early age, and they are going there use that production age, because we know that at certain age we are going to retire, and our body will not allow us to make those big decisions or to make those long effort and big efforts to produce. And the other thing to note is self-contentment. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said that al-ghina ghina nafsi, yes, that the good wealth is the wealth of your own soul. You have to feed well your soul to be enough satisfied to your own environment, because certification of your soul can make you understand many things in life. And we know that Allah is having this attribute that is Razak, sustainer. We know that Allah is Razak, and He is the one who provides everything to us all in the world. So in order to reduce this shifting from village to the towns and end in this suffer, because the suffering is huge in slums, because they know that when they see the crowd there, the roof is not well, they know that anytime the flood is coming, they started preparing to climb on the roofs to stay safe. So avoiding this, or you have to certify yourself and live according to your means and produce, because you are needed there to produce, to make the role of the world or the well-being of the world sustain.
Thank you very much, Shunda Sahib. That is for a person. You see, every person has to be satisfied,
yes,
with what he has got, and should exploit the environment around him to make production and to thrive, and to increase in effort, until he reaches a point maybe you can be as well rich if you produce. But let's turn on the side of the governments. What role do the government have to play to make sure that there is no this urban migration or urban slums are not there? Mr. Mubiru, sir.
Now, the existence of slums is a manifestation of the failure of any given government, because it is the responsibility of the government to be tough at times, but to be soft when it is important to be soft. Now, how do you allow people to live in those areas where they do not have the facilities? I think the government has the responsibility of feeling that, no, there is something wrong here, so that they can be able to rectify the situation. Because as we have been saying, a lot of resources can be spent into other not very important items. This is a very important item. You have human beings here. You have future leaders here. You have your citizens here. So you have to have that touch, because if you do not love these people, then the citizen will not be able to develop. So I think it is the work of the government to ensure that facilities, necessary facilities, are made in villages in the first place, make the villages a very comfortable place where people will not have the appetite of going to towns.
I want to ask him, Mubiru, one thing.
Yes.
I learned something from my village. You know, there people were living according to their tribes in local. You can see one town like this, which is the market, especially, but they're having their village inside. I heard that certain time the government brought them to the one village like this.
Exactly.
So why this one, it should not be applicable in their towns also, to provide inside their means, to provide those means which people can live together as they brought those villages together?
Now, human nature is very difficult indeed. There was an attempt in Tanzania to bring people in what they called Ujamaa villages. But, you know, there is a saying that you can take a horse to the river, but to force it to drink is another thing altogether. So people were brought in, but you see, they scattered. I think what is important is provide the services where people are. But where people have gone, please provide services, because when the services are there, nobody will think of moving.
Thank you very much for your addition to the topic of today. But right now we have a voice call from Maulana Dominic Otieno Juma, who wants to talk about urban slum, to put an addition to what we have been speaking about. So let's go and listen to the voice call.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I'll first of all give a gist of the situation of the people living in the slums. Personally, being born and raised in the slum, I'm quite aware of the situation those people do go through. Slum in itself is a term used in describing a wide range of low-income settlements and poor human living conditions. Most of the slum residents live in extreme poverty. Unemployment rates are high. People living with HIV and AIDS are many. Cases of rape and assaults are common. Early pregnancies, child labor, and drug addictions are rampant. So we, the Muslims, how can we help in improving this situation? Allah the Almighty says in the Holy Quran, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas, ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. That is to say, you are the best people raised for the good of mankind. You enjoin what is good and forbid evil and believe in Allah. This is taken from Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3 of the Holy Quran, verse 111. According to this verse of the Holy Quran, we have to focus more on services to the humanity because we have been raised by Allah the Almighty for the good of mankind despite their religions and practices. My dear brothers, Ummah is made up of individuals. We as individuals have to develop the love of humanity. We need to present models of best individuals. We need to start from our immediate surroundings, our homes, our relatives, our community, our neighborhoods, schools, colleges, workplaces, communities, and countries. We need to participate in programs for social service to help those staying in the slums. Out of His sheer grace and mercy, enable us to do so. Amin. Allahumma amin.
Welcome back and thank you very much Maulana Dominic Otieno Juma for your addition into our topic of today. But in the last line, Maulana Sahib has pointed out that we have to help as Muslims. We have to help those living in the urban slums. We have a role also to play. And it has brought me into a question that as Muslims, what should we do to help these people or to make sure that this problem does not continue to happen in our urbans? Let me begin with you, Shishona.
Islam teaches us two aspects in life.
Yes.
One is hukukullah and one is hukukul ibad.
Yes.
That rights to God and rights to mankind. So every Muslim has to recognize and has to know and has to stay aware that in him there is a part for human being and his fellow being as well. So according to your capacity, according to your ability, you have to help those who are less fortunate in your life or in your society.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Mburusa?
By the grace of Allah, the Ahmadiyya Jamaat has shown the way. It is not the question of words, it's the question of actions. Jamaat Ahmadiyya is doing a lot in providing clean water to villages, even light, electricity and all that. Now, that is very important. Once in a given village there is water, someone will see no reason of going to town. If there is light, someone will. So I think we should show by example, by providing to our villages all those facilities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mubiru Sahib, for winding up our conversation of today. I should thank you as well, Sheshunda Sahib, for your addition into our discussion of today. That's where we have reached for today. The time was running out, but it should be remembered that the urban slums are there, and as Jamaat Ahmadiyya, at least I can talk about Khudamul Ahmadiyya. We have a department that deal with the provision of services to mankind, so that we can help those people living in urban areas. We have Khidmat Khalq department that deals with the health of those people living there, and they do work al-amal to make sure that those areas, sometimes they are being cleaned to make sure that those people living in those areas, they live in a livable environment. But as for everyone, we should remember that Islam is encouraging us to exploit our environment, whatever place we are, and not go to places which we think that maybe they are happy, and we don't know the actual living conditions of those areas, because there is a likely that we can fall into the trap of living in these urban slums. Until next time, when we will discuss another challenge facing the African society. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Katuokoa rahmatul alamin, ya Rabbi salli ala nabika daiman fi hadhihi dunya wa ba'sin thani, ya Rabbi salli ala nabika daiman في هذه الدنيا وباسم ثاني.